We begin with the latest from the two-day EU summit in Brussels, in which leaders have agreed to start membership talks with Ukraine and Moldova. Well, Georgia has been granted EU candidate status as well. Well, in the case of Ukraine's accession, the Hungarian Prime Minister Viktor Orban had pledged to block the process, but 26 of the EU's 27 members supported it, and the Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky called this decision, I quote, a victory for Ukraine and a victory for all of Europe. Well, earlier in the day, Orban said that this idea was a big mistake. Well, let's get more now from Anastasia Shapochkina, who is a lecturer in geopolitics at Sciences Po here in Paris. Thank you so much for joining us. Are you surprised at how things turned out in Brussels today and how Prime Minister Orban didn't ultimately get in the way?
Very much so, and very positively surprised. Truly, today is a historic day, and the day when I think the hopes were there, and a lot of Ukrainians were hopeful, and a lot of Ukrainians have worked very hard to reach this result. But still, we had so many negative signs, and it's very hopeful to see that Europe today chose to be a geopolitical actor, because of course we understand that any decision on accession, just like it was for Hungary in the early 21st century, just like it was for Bulgaria, Romania, just like it is today for Ukraine and Moldova, is first and foremost a political decision. It is not so much about how many of this or that requirement has been fulfilled as to how the EU is ready, how they are seeing themselves going forward. And this decision, having taken it, really shows that the European Union as an actor wants a place in geopolitics. It also shows, as a little footnote, that Viktor Orban has eventually opted for photo ops with the European leader as opposed to with Vladimir Putin and Alexander Lukashenko, which is also very, very hopeful.
Well, he has had photo ops with certainly President Putin in the not-so-distant past. Just want to understand why Viktor Orban, the Prime Minister of Hungary, is so opposed to this idea. I mean, he really carried on using strong language even after the decision was taken. He says it's illogical, irrational and improper. Why does he feel so strongly, do you think?
Well, there are multiple sources, and especially from among the Hungarian independent media, which has been having a very hard time under Viktor Orban, which claim Orban's ties to Vladimir Putin, including financial ties and basically a certain level of, so to say, either business or dependency, whatever you want to see. Then there are some strategic projects which exist in Hungary, which are funded fully or up to 80%, we can say, by Russia and the Russian banks. And the most strategic, of course, is Paks 2 nuclear power plant, the construction of which goes forward. And truly, it is meant to replace the existing nuclear reactors in Hungary and thus providing up to half of Hungary's electricity. So this is why Orban keeps, for these reasons and other reasons like this, the ties to Russia, of course, very close ideological proximity to Vladimir Putin on many issues, from conservatism of so-called values to the very authoritative behavior toward judiciary or the free press. Orban has this ideological proximity with Putin. However, this decision to step out during the vote, which of course is a diplomatic solution, which was very ingenious by the people who are plotting this, reveals that, first of all, he understood that he was so cornered and isolated, and these pictures contrast very, very much with the previous pictures of high-level meeting in Brussels, where Orban was really just in a corner and of sidelined by all of the leaders and just looking and really being physically alone. So means, first of all, that he decided to be just basically was brought somehow to his senses, and maybe he was brought to his senses, of course, by a side deal, which is not revealed in press releases, but without a doubt must have been cut. And also understanding that if the European Union is set on staying with Ukraine, if he doesn't jump on the ship, there may be consequences.
Okay, well, thank you so much for sharing that with us. Anastasia Shapochkina at Sciences Po University in Paris. Thank you very much indeed.